The treasure of the first spells. Corwin and Alara spent their Saturday mornings exploring the dustier corners of the magical library. Behind a shelf of potions for picky eaters, Corwin tugged on a loose book spine. Click! A tiny, velvet-lined compartment opened, revealing a rolled-up, brittle scroll tied with a faded ribbon. It's a map. And look, Alara, it's written in ancient runes, Corwin exclaimed, unfurling the parchment. Alara, the best rune reader in their class, ran her finger over the symbols. She whispered, deciphering the code. The treasure sleeps where the willow weeps and shadows creep. The whispering willow in the forgotten forest, Corwin whispered, his eyes wide with adventure. They quickly gathered their essential gear. Corwin packed a reliable compass and a sturdy rope, while Alara carefully tucked away a handful of protective charms. The library's quiet hum seemed to cheer them on. They set off. The path into the forgotten forest was twisting like a snake, leading them into a world of deep, silent green. Corwin kept checking the compass, but the old needle kept spinning wildly in the magical air. Alara closed her eyes, remembering lessons from their forest magic classes. The ancient path finds its own way, she murmured, following the feeling of the oldest tree roots. The air grew still, and the forest deepened around them, whispering secrets in the rustling leaves. Finally, they spotted it, a huge ancient willow tree, its branches sweeping the ground like a curtain of green rain. This was the place where the willow weeps. Now they needed to find where the shadows creep. Corwin walked slowly into the shade, peering closely at the thick, moss-covered roots. The light was almost gone beneath the dense canopy. He needed illumination that wouldn't spook any shy forest guardians. Corwin tapped the end of his wand against the bark. Lumos Solaris, he murmured. A soft, constant silver light flared from his wand tip, washing over the ground and highlighting a small, carved stone hidden between two main roots. Alara knelt to read the new inscription, tracing the damp letters with her finger. Where the surface is glass but the bottom is mud, you must fly over water and fear not the flood. A marsh! We need a levitation charm, she declared. The map led them to the edge of the great mire of mists. It was wide and deep, shrouded in a spooky, heavy white fog that obscured the other side. The water looked dark and still, reflecting the low-hanging sky like a sheet of dirty glass. Corwin spotted a large, fallen oak trunk nearby. We'll ride on a floating log, he suggested. Alara nodded, focusing her magical energy. The log was huge, but they needed to cross a long distance safely. Alara raised her wand, tracing precise, glowing patterns in the misty air. She took a deep breath, picturing the log becoming light as air. Volito supra, she called out, and the heavy log lifted silently, settling a few feet above the surface of the marsh. Corwin carefully helped Alara climb onto the center of their log raft. The air was colder high up, and Corwin gripped the rough bark. The log moved with a slow, smooth glide, carrying them easily over the mud and the murky, misty water. The log finally bumped gently against a bank of slick, dark stones on the far side. Corwin and Alara hopped off, their stomachs doing a little flip from the strange floating journey. The air here was strangely warm and smelled of cinnamon and hay. Just then, a deep, gentle rumble echoed from a nearby copse of trees. Out stepped a magnificent golden-maned lion with vast bronze wings, Arion. He stretched his great wings, filling the space with light. Then came Malena, a calm, spotted cow with gentle eyes and enormous snow-white wings. The children froze in awe. Malena lowered her head a little, her soft eyes meeting Alara's with a curious kindness. "Greetings, little adventurers," Arion purred, his voice like the wind in the sails. "You seek the forgotten ruins? Malena and I were tasked by the first spells to help those who are brave but lack wings. We shall carry you across the ravine of sighs," Malena added, her voice a soft, lowing sound. Corwin and Alara smiled, gathering their courage, and carefully climbed onto the backs of the magnificent creatures. Corwin held tight to Arian's mane, burying his face in the soft gold fur as they soared into the vast sky. Below them, the ravine of sighs was a dizzying, cloud-filled chasm, its far side disappearing into mist. A minute later, they landed softly at a moss-covered stone archway, marking the entrance to the Forgotten Ruins. "May your quest be successful," Arian whispered. Corwin and Alara thanked them, watching their noble friends take off and disappear into the clouds. Inside the ruins, the walls were crumbling, and silence echoed, disturbed only by the crunch of their boots on the scattered ancient stones. At the heart of the ruins stood a circular chamber. Corwin lit a small floating charm to illuminate the space. The chamber was guarded by 3 stern-faced stone statues. They began to glide and shift, blocking the path. A soft, strange light appeared on the floor, forming a faint etching. 3 stars to align the path was the final clue. "The middle one moves clockwise, the left one anti-clockwise," Ilara shouted, having deciphered the floor etching. Working together, they aimed their wands at the heavy stone figures, pushing and pulling them with carefully focused charms. With a great, deep groan, the final statue clicked into place. Rumble. The wall behind where the statues had stood didn't just open. It dissolved into a shimmering veil, revealing a hidden, quiet alcove. The treasure wasn't a pile of gold or sparkling jewels, but a single, ancient book bound in deep blue leather. It glowed with a soft, warm light. "The treasure of the first spells," Alara read, grinning. The real magic, they knew, was the journey, the courage they found, and the new flying friends they'd shared it all with.